Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Road Ahead Talk Show, powered by Jio Events and knowledge partnered by Sciative. Be Price Right. I'm Vijeta Soni, co-founder and CEO of Sciative Solutions. Today with me, I have a very interesting entrepreneur. His name is Pritesh Asher. He is the founder of this brand called Juicy Chemistry. Uh, this Juicy Chemistry as a company is having more than 100 products. Every single product has been certified by EcoCert from France. Great products to have, and I'm pretty sure you would have heard about this brand. So without taking a lot of time, let's start learning about how did Pratish and his wife come together and how did they bring this company together and how did they make this brand, the entire story from the scratch. Without wasting time, let's go ahead and enjoy the show. Hi, Pritesh. How are you doing? And welcome to Road Ahead Talk Show. I'm so happy to have you here today. Juicy Chemistry. I am a customer and I would love to hear what the founder has to speak. So today's episode is fully focused on that, right? And as part of my role, it is so interesting for me to meet the creators of the product, the mind behind it, understand the story so that I can, get more attached to the whole brand. So, Pratish, with that, welcome so much on the Road Ahead Talk Show.
Thank you, Vijita, so much for having me on the podcast today. Really excited to sort of relive this journey with you. That it's all, that you're getting into the 10th year of the brand already, and it feels like just yesterday we were in the kitchen, experimenting with the product. So looking forward to this, Vijita, for sure.
Wonderful, wonderful, Pritesh. Pritesh, before we start getting into your product, right, let's understand who is Pritesh. So you can give me all that interesting thoughts on how did you become an entrepreneur? When did that whole seed thought come into you saying, ki, hi, I want to build something of my own? Tell me a little bit about your background so that, that inspiration of becoming an entrepreneur, which is like a bug, it always stays inside. So ये bug आपको कब bite किया and when did this thing happen कि yes, I'm going to start something of my own?
I think, Vijita, I think it started off very early in my life, to be very honest with you. And one inspiration that I really had access to very easily was my father. We come from very humble backgrounds, very remote village in Gujarat. My father moved down in search of work to Tamil Nadu in Chennai. After a stint of about 5 years or so working in a petrochemical plant, he moved to Kerala to set up his own business. I think that's when he started understanding the nitty-gritties of what entrepreneurship is all about, and starting from scratch. I think as a young kid, I always watched him struggle it out, work on the ground, get his hands dirty, just to see that needle move one bit at a time. I think from a very young age, it got instilled in me that mujhe ye karna hai, right? I think where it generally gets passed on from generations, and for me it was my father who sort of instilled this very earlier on in my life, that agar karenge to kuch apna karenge, and apne soch se karenge. And I never thought that sort of taking up a corporate job or working for somebody was something for me at all. I mean, it never ever in my life occurred to me that कि मैं job करूंगा किसी के लिए, or that would be my corporate entity, that I will work my way up in the corporate life. I think that entrepreneurship bug was there right from the beginning. And unfortunately, I was not a very bright student. Fortunately, I made it up with a lot of other things, that learning on the job, or being very very hands-on with doing and learning. I think those were my fortes. Sitting in a classroom, or getting that book across, or getting the first top 2-3 grades was not my forte at all. For me, it was all about learning by doing, and that's how I kept my itch fulfilled, by just doing and learning. I think I was very good at that. So whilst all of that was happening, because I was not a very bright student in class, my family was like, नहीं इसको तो यार boarding school भेज देते हैं, ये तो यहाँ पे रहेगा तो खराब हो जाएगा, और so they packed me up to a boarding school, which very lucky to have gone to an institute like Chinmaya International Residential School, which is just about an hour away from here, from Coimbatore. Serene environment in the foothills of Sirwani. That's when I spent my fantastic 5 years, learning, interacting with a lot of kids, not just within India, but overseas as well. Opened up a lot of perspectives, made me a very, very independent child right from early ages. Went to Australia post that for my bachelor's, did my bachelor's of business management there. I learned that my father wasn't doing really well, sort of deteriorating with cancer. So I had to come back, take reins of my family business. In the midst of all this, uh, what happened while after coming back was that I didn't get an opportunity to be on the ground to really learn the tricks of the trade, and I had to actually just jump into entrepreneurship because of the situation that I was put into. Right, my father was really deteriorating fast, and we had to sort of go with the motions of seeing that and handling a business. And it was a very tough phase of my life when all of this was going on. But I think we held our nerve. Passed away in 2021 to 2011, but from then onwards, I think we knew that the business had a lot of flaws. It was very unorganized, it was very volatile, very capital heavy. I was not really enjoying it after he had gone any which ways, right? So I wanted to always look for something else. And in that sense, I think the find the search for my next big break was juicy chemistry, and that's how we are today. I mean, it's been 10 years now that we've been doing what we've been doing. So it's been a phenomenal journey so far.
So how did juicy chemistry as a term, the name come up? What does this signify? What is this all about? Tell me about this brand.
So let me tell you a little bit on the brand itself and how it actually came into being. First of all, Megha and I actually met at Chinmaya International Residential School, where I went as a child. I met her in 10th grade, and obviously me and her both went to Australia to study together. Came back, 2009 we got married. Megha had her own boutique business, which was into couture, pret, accessories, jewelry, etc. Megha had actually been suffering from PCOD for a while, and post marriage, that because of change of weather, because of change of climate, because of change in location, etc., that kept getting worse for her. One of the biggest things that we actually suffer, she was struggling with was skin issues, flare ups, dry, excessive sensitivities, products which were being prescribed to her by the dermatologist. Whilst they worked temporarily, they didn't have a long term solution, and at the same time she also suffered with a lot of side effects because of these heavy steroid products. So while she was looking to go natural, one day visit to a nearby supermarket when we were doing our Sunday chores, just out of sheer boredom, pretending to help my wife, do the grocery shopping, somebody tried to sell me a product, or introduce a product which was natural, organic, herbal, very recently introduced into the market. So while the front of the label was actually telling a lot of these beautiful herbs like hibiscus, amla, neem, and coconut, when I turned the back of the product around, I could read the ingredients, and by the second or the third ingredient, I could recognize all these ingredients when what we were using in our petrochemical manufacturing company. And that was sort of a year going up for me, and understanding of how a hibiscus, amla, and neem can have first ingredient as water, sulfates, preservatives, parabens, colors, fragrances, etc., etc., right? And the list was endless. Actually, there were like about at least 20, 25 ingredients, and at the end of it there was some 0.02% of hibiscus, amla, and 0.1% of whatever else, right? So when I looked at Megha and I said, listen, this is a natural product, but I don't see any natural products in the first 10 ingredients in this. So I don't know if this is actually natural or not. Do you want to try it? So she looked at me and she shrugged it off and said, listen, that's what is available today, right? I mean, what else are you going to do? Uh, this is what we have to live with. And I think at that moment, the bulb didn't go off. But after a few days, when we were just talking about this to our friends and family, and I said, listen, this is what I saw. And that's when the bulb went off, that saying that, listen, we didn't even think about reading the labels at the back of what we are using for our everyday use cosmetics. And that's when we thought that, this issue is not just one off. a lot of people are actually looking to go organic, natural, but just can't find or just are believing what is there in the front of the label,
Mhm.
not what is there at the back of the label, right? So that's when we started looking at many products within our own, within our own household,
Mm.
toothpaste, shampoo, conditioners, bath and body products, soaps,
Mm.
perfumes, etc. And we also looked at baby care products. And whilst some perfumes and colors were different, essentially the story was no different, even
Mm.
in the baby care range. So I think that was a moment when we realized that, listen, there is a huge gap in this market. But apart from that, first, as individuals, can we actually, probably, if you're not getting anything outside, can we create something for ourselves, at least for our own use, right?
Wow.
That's when I think the early seeds of juicy chemistry started, when we started researching and understanding formulations. We essentially backworked the formulas to identify one major ingredient, which was water in the formulation,
Mm.
right? We removed water from the formulation, and there we had a perfectly organic, natural product, which was sans of any sort of colors, fragrances, no artificial, synthetically derived ingredients in whatsoever way. And then we said, what is wrong with using this product? It's perfectly good product. uh,
Mm.
and that's when we started giving it to friends and family, and we understood that they loved the product and they wanted more of it as well, right? And you said, "अरे उस time आपने दिया था वो खत्म हो गया, वापस कब दे रहे हो?" Like, we said, listen, there is some, we are onto something over here. It's not just one off. We are actually onto something over here. That's when um the the tube light, or I think the bulb, went off for us. And then we said, listen, can we work a little bit more into it to understand the nitty-gritties of formulations, nitty-gritties of this business? Can we actually create a line out of this? And
Mm.
one such experiment that we were doing in our kitchen, which was manufacturing of a natural soap, when I thought that the outcome of the soap would be a beautiful sunset, orange color, because I'm using fresh orange juices and fresh ingredients in my product. uh, that's the output that I will get. At 2 a.m. in the morning, when I was doing the experiment, after doing a lot of research during the day, I woke up Meka at the middle of the night and I said, listen, yaar, ye jo hum karne ki koshish kar rahe the, wo nahi hua, aur this is like a big goop of mess that I've created in the middle of the night. Now I don't know what to do. I don't know where I went wrong with my formulation. And she said, the chemistry is just, not worked out for you. And then I said, the chemistry is probably not worked out because it's all about the juices that I put in. I don't know how it sort of came together. And she said, that's because that's the juicy chemistry that you shouldn't be doing. So I said, juicy chemistry as a name at 2 a.m. in the morning sort of stuck with us, because we wanted to create a Facebook page where we wanted to put all the information, all the learnings that we had while visiting the supermarket, or while doing our research. So we didn't know how to name this page.
Mm.
So
So,
let's name it Juicy Chemistry, because
wow.
it sort of stuck. So
Wow.
that's what the name came across.
That's wonderful. And you say that the products of Juicy Chemistry has literally nothing which is related to chemicals, right? I mean, it is all about the natural formulations and how safe they are when it comes to uh, usage by even people who could be having some medical issues as well, right? I mean, because it's like a natural product, organic. But these days, I'm seeing that there are so many brands which are coming up with this. Ki I'm green, I'm sustainable, natural, organic, herbal. What is the difference between all of these names? I mean, me as a consumer, I feel that it's natural means sab kuch desi hoga, in sense, in like everything is like coming from plants and organic stuff, and then something which is not organic, which is like man-made, is chemistry,
Chemistry,
right?
yeah.
So how are you finding the, how are you educating your people around this? Because really, I mean, people, number one, they are busy with their lives, but they need something which is good. But there is an education which is required for people to understand the difference between all of these terms, which is there: natural, green, organic, uh, herbal, right? All of that. Help
Vijita,
me understand what is the difference between this.
Vijay, I think you've opened a can of worms over here. And this probably requires probably two more podcasts for me to cover. I'll try and give you a gist of what we think, on what our principles are, or what we stand by as a brand. Look, I think, like you rightly said, right? For anybody who is not from the industry, or not from in the market, to do a lot of research on natural versus chemical, etc. See, first of all, natural versus chemical is such a wrong way of looking at skincare or hair care or personal care generally in the first place, right? So chemistry is everywhere, right? Even in natural ingredients, there is chemistry. Even synthetics is chemistry. Um, every single ingredient, essentially, whilst we say is a chemical, I would like to put it differently, right? I would like to say that every single ingredient has a chemistry of its own, right? Has a chemical composition of its own. Now, which chemical composition works well with your genome or with your skin biome is where the chemistry lies, right? And to say that natural versus organic is natural versus chemical is wrong, because essentially what we are trying to achieve over here is to understand the ingredients from a very different lens. We are trying to understand ingredients from the science of what our bodies need, or what our skin needs, for it to be healthy and naturally beautiful, right? So science versus chemicals, or science versus natural, is not the right way of looking at it. Natural has phenomenal science behind it. All of us, are essentially organic beings. We understand that nutrients are required by our bodies, and how you provide those nutrients, how you provide those essential fatty acid, vitamins, minerals, wonderful elixirs that are required from natural environments. How do you get that to the skin on application? I think essentially juicy chemistry comes from a point of view that everything that we need for a healthy and beautiful skin is available from nature's lab. To believe that labs or synthetics can do a better job than natural is just a fad. The reason why we say that is because we understand the importance of natural ingredients, having worked very closely under a microscope lens with these ingredients, right? Not to say that chemicals are all bad, and not to say that all natural ingredients are good as well. Like, for example, even a very very simple thing as nuts can be very dangerous for somebody who has nut allergies. Right? Aloe vera, for example, doesn't suit anybody. Turmeric, for example, has a lot of allergens in it. Depends on individual to individual. So to say generally classify them as safe and not safe is very wrong, right? Synthetics can be very safe as well. Synthetics can be very efficacious as well. And at the same time, natural ingredients can also be extremely harmful if not used correctly, right? You have to understand the chemistry behind this, and then take it forward. For us, we have nothing against chemicals or the synergies that it has with our body chemistry. What we specialize in is understanding the physical and chemical properties of these bioavailable ingredients, sourcing it from the best source that is available in the world. Therefore, tapping those highest purity, potency, and performance within the formulation, and delivering it to skin and hair is our forte at Juicy Chemistry, right? So we understand that natural ingredients originating from its highest bioavailable source, if we handle those delicate nutrients in a manner in which that they are alive in the formulation, and when a consumer actually uses it, is able to get the benefits from it, not just market natural and organic, actually deliver the nutrients of natural and organic.
So how will a consumer come to know that what is working for him or her compared to what's not going to be working for them? For example, I may not know, I might be allergic to some content. So how does juicy chemistry help that education come into play? Because my skin type, body type might be very different compared to somebody else, right? So how does juicy chemistry help me bridge that gap between what's going to work for me versus what's going to work for somebody else?
Yeah. See, if you're coming new into skincare, obviously, Juicy Chemistry as a brand doesn't just believe in selling the product or marketing the product, which is natural or organic. We actually handhold the consumer right from the initiation stage, or, the brand awareness stage, to the consideration stage. Even at the bottom of the funnel, we educate the consumers. We have a very strong customer support team that helps each and every consumer coming onto our website answer questions, understand their skin type, understand what's worked for them in the past, what's not worked for them in the past, what allergies do they have, or if there is anything that has not suited them in the past, to then start them with a very minimal set of products, like very basic cleanse, tone, and treat. We don't need a 10-step extensive routine to actually see results. If you do small things right, it has a phenomenal compounding effect on our overall health. So we start slow, we start small, just use basic cleanse, tone, treat, right? And we segregate that in accordance to the kind of issues that you are actually facing. According, it could be hair fall, it could be dandruff, it could be acne issues that you're facing as an adult or as a teenager. We understand the habits that you've inculcated, understand what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Now, all of this said and done, you might receive a product and still not be completely satisfied with the results that you're getting. Not to say that if the product's not worked, but what else can you do differently to make sure that this product actually works for you? So I think just selling the product, we're not in the business of selling the product. We are here to help consumers understand the full potential of what an organic formulation can do for them, not just in terms of topical application, but for also overall health perspective as well. So I think there we differentiate ourselves very, very strongly from saying that, listen, vitamin C serum hai, ye khareed lo, to you will get brightening. It doesn't work like that. Vitamin C serum is not suitable for everybody. How you have to use it, when do you have to use it, which stage of your skincare you have to use it. Is it actually going to be a product that's going to be suitable to you or not? Is something we speak very, very closely with the consumer, and only then consider them for a sale. So that's something that we
Very interesting. Very interesting. It is so nice to learn about the product which you are building, right? Which you have built, and how can it be, it can be segmented basis of different types of customers and their skin types and their biology altogether, right? And so much of effort which is happening from Juicy Chemistry side to make this happen. So learning about the product makes me very clear. Let's look into your competition set as well. When I look at you as an organization, right? I also see that competitors of yours, some of them are smaller brands. They might be using chemicals. They might be 100% organic or free of chemicals. But I also see a lot of large mammoth giants, right? They speak about organic, Ayurvedic, natural stuff, and all that. To name a few, like Patanjali, HUL, Dabur, Imami, right? How do you think in country like India, right, a brand which is not as big as those giants, right? How do we survive? How do we make sure that our product is heard, our customer segment is loyal to us, and we continue to keep them engaged, attracted to our brand? Wherein you have competitors who are like you, similar to you, might be having some little differential factors, but then there are these large giants who are also trying to tap onto this whole idea of natural, right? So how do you, as an entrepreneur, see this industry, and how you're working with your customers to ensure that there is a connect that is maintained? How does a brand like Juicy Chemistry survive and excel and expand at this age?
Yeah. Vijita, I think it's a very, very important question that needs to be addressed as well, because currently the industry, the BPC, as we call it, the beauty product category, is going through a lot of, tectonic shifts. over the last couple of decades have been very different than what the last 5 years have brought in, and especially now in the last 3 years as well, right? So the journey of 2 decades ago to this last 5 years, and just squeezing it down to the last 3 years has been a very, very different journey for different brands that you just also mentioned today. To say the least, the industry is extremely complex today, right? There is a lot of school of thoughts that are actually on the table for the consumer to actually first consider, right? There is Ayurvedic, then there is herbal, where these organic, where these lines are actually very blurred because there is no clear definition for the consumer as well on where do I go looking for a product which is truly fitting my belief, right? Because all of these lines, like I said, completely muddled and almost blur, do not exist in a lot of sense. Then there is your synthetics that have also come in. There is also Korean beauty that has actually made a lot of noise around in the Indian beauty product category as a segment as well. And then there is also brands that are legacy brands that are actually trying to make their their presence felt into the market as well. Because the consumer, first of all, there is a lot of options that are available to you first off, and us as organic and a certified organic skin and personal care brand, for us it starts from the very basic, right? Of claims. One of the biggest problems that we are actually looking to solve for is greenwashing. Like I said a couple of minutes ago, that when a product claims to have be a rose water, for example. Now what we see is 7, 8, 9 different ingredients within this rose water, starting from synthetic hormones being the first ingredient within this naturally or so-called Ayurvedic product, and it's got fragrances and colors. Now, us as a brand, whilst we are only one single ingredient with a steam distilled, certified organic rose water, with one single ingredient, which is scientifically or process driven in terms of how we are extracting, how we are steam distillating, what are the processes that we follow as a brand, checkpoints at every stage, organic certifications at every stage, right from soil up. We ensure that our soil bed does not contain any insecticides, pesticides, fungicides, no GMOs, no artificial growth hormones of any sort. From then onwards, when the produce is grown on this soil, the extract that the produce that we take and the extractions that we do are all falling in line with very strict Cosmos EcoCert standards. Now, when we do all of these things, we are essentially telling the consumer that, hey, listen, the due diligence that you were looking for in a product has already been done by us through a third-party agency, which tells you that, listen, at every step, right, from soil up to processing, to moving of goods, to storage, to processing, to finally bottling, and then eventually telling you what goes behind through the back of the label. All of that is very transparent in our case, right? So what we wanted to solve for was greenwashing in the first place, right? Don't tell me you're selling aloe vera gel without telling the customer what exactly is there in your aloe vera gel. If your aloe vera gel has 80% base QS and other fillers and other synthetics and other thickening agents, and then just 2% aloe vera gel, have the courage to put it on the label saying that this is 2% aloe vera gel and not 100% aloe vera gel, right? And essentially, for the consumer now, it becomes now that the consumer is more evolved, right? We have social media today.
True.
A lot of questions that you can ask the brand. You can reach out to the brand very easily today if you're in the D2C category. So asking the right questions was us telling the customer, listen, ask us the right questions, and we will give you the script to ask us the right questions as well, right? We'll give you the avenues to ask us the right questions. So I think that's what we did as a brand to differentiate ourselves, to call ourselves organic, natural, which we did before 2017. Almost felt like हम अपने को ही हम ताज पहना रहे हैं और कोई पूछने वाला नहीं है. हम बोल सकते हैं, हम ऑर्गेनिक बोल सकते हैं, नेचुरल बोल सकते हैं, हर्बल बोल सकते हैं, या फिर
सभी बोल रहे हैं,
तो हम भी बोल रहे हैं. बट इसका प्रूफ कहाँ है? कस्टमर को इसका प्रूफ चाहिए, राइट? सो व्हाट डू वी डू to let the consumer know. हमको नहीं
Hmm.
हमको पता है, वो अलग बात है. कंज्यूमर को बताना है कि हमने ये प्रोसेस किया है जिसकी वजह से ये ऑर्गेनिक है.
Wonderful trust building activity. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because if you are so strong with your product, it is very important to be very open and very courageous about mentioning it, and even requesting the customers to ask the right questions, and you're happy to answer those. Wonderful. Beautiful.
Not just that, Vijita. Understanding that you're using aloe vera gel is, हमने aloe vera gel use किया, right? वो aloe vera gel आपने जो use किया, वो aloe vera का जो benefit होना चाहिए, जो essential phytonutrients जो aloe vera में हैं, वो आप तक पहुंचे कि नहीं. Otherwise, it's just a placebo effect, right? मैंने कुछ लगाया है, कुछ अच्छा ही होगा, right? We don't get into the nitty-gritties of why this aloe vera gel, right?
True.
That's where juicy chemistry comes in. We don't give you aloe vera gel which is not 4 years old, right? We will grow it only on organic soil, and we will only use cold process techniques to ensure that all the nutrient profiles within the aloe vera gel is available at the time of bottling and stable when you use it as a consumer. Essentially, we are giving you 800 parts per million of polysaccharides within that bottle of aloe vera gel. Therefore, you get the benefits of aloe vera. Why you actually wanted to use aloe vera, वो इफेक्ट आपको अगर नहीं मिल रहा है तो आप सिर्फ एक बॉटल एलोवेरा जेल का खरीद रहे हो जिसमें कोई न्यूट्रिएंट्स नहीं है. Essentially, this is a bottle which has got 80% plus petrochemicals in it, and then you assume that this is a aloe vera gel that you're using. We essentially wanted to cut that thought process in the consumers and go for products not just because they are natural by label, but they are scientifically produced to ensure that the nutrients are delivered to the skin on application. That's the win that we have at Juicy Chemistry, to see almost 65% repeat rate
Wow.
from the consumer base, because once they've experienced the quality of the product that we are actually bringing to the table, that essentially translates into the efficacy that we are looking to bring as well. So I think if I can just sum up the journey, I think it's the trust that we've managed to create in the minds of the consumers by touch and feel of the product, and assuring the quality at every stage of our operations is uncompromised.
And that's the reason you have a repeat rate of 65%, and that's awesome. I mean, it's very high compared to the other industry standards that we look at. Let's look into, so we are talking a lot about the Indian market, right? There is a huge set of population outside of India. What are your thoughts on international expansion? Because a product like yours, which is so beautifully created with heart, right? Created with so much of care and science. How are your expansion plans when you look into the international market? Because I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of takers of this product outside as well.
Vijita, it actually pains me when I go to international shows to see that the West has adapted so beautifully to Ayurveda and true sense of Ayurveda as a lifestyle and as products. I see Ayurveda generally, when we say as a terminology, we generally think about product, but Ayur is not about just product. It's also a way of life, right? Ayur essentially means life, and Veda essentially means the science of living the life, right? It's not about just the product. Just a single product is not going to change your life, or a set of products is not going to change your life if you don't evolve in the way that we are looking at overall health itself. And if you see a decade and a half ago, the West has already made very strong inroads into their lifestyle by adapting our techniques, or by adapting our way of lifestyle, may it be in yoga, may it be in product, may it be in food, in all those things, in a holistic manner, they've actually adapted Ayurveda. And I see that whenever I travel to international shows, they are so fond of Indian practices, or the ancient texts, and our supply chain is actually very, very well equipped to serve those markets, because there is where we are able to get better prices. People understand or value the product even more, and therefore I see a lot of our ingredients actually head more to the West, or to other countries, rather than making it bigger over here. For us here, unfortunately, we are ourselves responsible for not making Ayurveda or organic or natural as a category, a very strong
Mm.
uh, force to reckon with, because we've not done justice to the terminologies in the first place. We've used natural just as a marketing term
Yeah.
rather than using it to its full potential. So I guess the consumer is wary of this today, and we are only to blame ourselves for this. The West, like you rightly said, has adapted. The West as a market is phenomenal for us. Juicy Chemistry actually exports products to about 20 different countries. We have 7 distributors across, Malaysia, South Africa, UAE, Nepal. We have distributors in Europe and in US. So we've got our expansion footprint going full swing.
Mm.
1 year, we've started expanding our borders to cater to overseas markets, and we
Mm.
see phenomenal traction. We see phenomenal acceptance of the product. They also value certifications much
Mm.
more because they understand what goes behind creating, or creating a supply chain that's so
Mm.
transparent, so um, uh, clean in terms of traceability, and therefore they are ready to pay you a premium for the quality that you actually bring to the table. So I think international expansion was obviously a no-brainer for a brand like Juicy Chemistry, where we see huge potential in countries like the US, some of the more developed European countries, Australia, Singapore, Malaysia, as and UAE, Middle East as well, as potential customers for us, and they're doing phenomenally well for us. And
Wonderful.
currently, I think when we started off, about 2 or 3% of our business actually was coming from our international orders. This has gone up to about 8% now.
Wonderful. So if I'm sitting in US and if I have to purchase a juicy chemistry product, where am I supposed to go?
Amazon.com.
Wonderful.
Amazon.com, Amazon.ae. We are also now live in Amazon.uk, Malaysia. Some of the bigger retail marketplaces are hosting Juicy Chemistry products. So essentially now, I think wherever you are in the world, we are just a click away.
That's brilliant. It's really amazing to see how these marketplaces have provided a channel to so many young brands to actually go out and explore their markets outside anywhere in the world. Right? That's amazing to see. Pritesh, now coming, so we have covered a lot. We have covered you. We have covered, understood about your product and all the science behind it and how it is so precious to you as well and your wife, Megha. And also understood how is this product different than many others, and your expansion. Let's look into technology. If we are doing this podcast and we're not speaking about technology in this generation, then it's like a waste, right? So how is Juicy Chemistry implementing technology and sciences, not just in the product, but outside that as well? How are you building your business with help of technology?
Vijita, I think we live in a world where everything is obviously very very fast, very agile. At the click of a button, you need to do a lot of things. I think we adapted technology as well very early. Being in the industry for about a decade now, we started D2C when D2C as a terminology did not exist. So we've learned a lot over the years on improving as improving with time, essentially, right? With improving the time essentially to make things more easier, both consumer facing and at the back end as well, right? I mean, I remember the times when we used to take one order at a time on WhatsApp. One order at a time, customer को बोलते थे यार पैसा डाल देना अकाउंट में, तो पैसा हम लोग चेक करते थे, फिर एक करके प्रोडक्ट्स डालते थे, एक एक प्रिंट आउट लेके चिपकाते थे. Those were different times back in 2016, and it's not too far away, honestly.
Yeah.
I remember that we used to do this as a business, but technology has changed so much from there onwards, right? AI has brought in, like, for example, like today when you log on to juicychemistry.com, you will see a chat button over there. And it's beautifully integrated with AI today, right? It's got phenomenal learnings. It's got a bunch of data that we've already given it to learn and feed off that information. And you can ask it any questions today, and it will give you precise answers just within less than fraction of a second. And you will be able to curate a personalized regime on my website today, and that will be fit for your absolute requirement just by answering a few questions on that. I remember today, obviously with all the ease of payments and all the ease of building a website, etc. Today has become absolute no brain. It's so easy today to actually build a website. It can take you half a day to build $1 billion revenue generating website within no span of time. But it wasn't the case back when we started off, right? There was the synergies of what was happening back then and what's happening today is very different. Well, Juicy Chemistry very recently expanded into makeup as a category as well, because we saw a very wide gap over there. So technology has helped us to reach the consumer, to give the right product to the right shade, to the right undertone, to the right match it to the right product, just by a single scan, right? You can log on to carchemistry.com, which is our makeup line. You just take a free scan over there to match your skin shade, and it will you can actually navigate different shades, how they look on you. You can try on different eyeshadows, you can try on different lipsticks, just sitting at the back of comfort of your home, and you will be able to actually see which is the best product that's suitable for my specific skin tone, right? Before, you had to go to your nearest place where the products were retail. You depended on a beauty advisor to give you the right shade. You'd match a couple of them. You like a few, you won't like a few, and then even at the end of it, then you would realize that yaar, ye shade barabar nahi hai, right? I mean, this should have taken a new one. So I think AI has helped us in a lot of sense to reduce that friction of consideration or conversion on a website, just to these phenomenal tools that are available today in terms of tech. So I think we are adapting that on the front end of it for the consumers end. Back end, of course, we keep evolving as we go. But I think you said product को छोड़ के आपने क्या टेक किया है, तो product को नहीं छोड़ सकते हम. Product में लेके आ सकते हैं, उतना हमने टेक किया है, despite us being very strictly in the guardrails of organic and natural, right? So I think technologies like cellular extraction, where we are able to actually tap the true DNA of the plant, and bottle it up in a serum format, for it to be actually alive in the bottle, to transfer those nutrients exactly the way they are alive within the plant system when it's actually thriving in its natural environment, is a phenomenal tech achievement by our research and development partners in Australia. And we are so honored to be having worked with them and bring this technology to India as a first, to experience what true power of botanicals are, through these wonderful extraction technologies that exist today. So I think we've come a long way in terms of using technology in both product facing and consumer facing aspects of the business.
Wonderful. Wow. Starting from your website to your product, of course, your product speaks a lot of technology, and the kind of effort and the passion with which you speak about the product, the technology of extraction. I mean, it feels so interesting that when you were speaking about your story as your childhood and all that. So just in matter of few years, Pritesh, you have learned so much and so passionately speaking about how these essences are extracted from the plant and how you're keeping it stable for the end user. I mean, that's amazingly good, and that really shows your entrepreneurial passion that you are building this product, right? Amazingly good. And since I'm a pricing company, I would not stop hesitating and asking this question about how do you think pricing is important for such a niche brand of yours, wherein you're creating products which are beautiful, built with heart, and where you speak about the formulations are rare, and they are like very difficult to extract. They have that premium quality in them because you focus on that. How do you think pricing becomes important over here? Because your customer, it would your potential would be actually looking for different products on marketplaces, maybe in retail stores. Um, how will price play an important factor for a brand like you who has that premiumness in it? And how do you still stand apart even when the customer is very picky about the price sensitiveness that he has inside it?
Absolutely. No, Vijita, see, look, we are a country of 100 plus billion people. You would assume that it's a very large market. Uh, the truth of the matter remains that we are a very price sensitive market, right? We are
Yeah.
not, you know, our elasticity is not that big when it comes to pricing.
Yeah.
Uh, Out of the 100 plus billion people that I just mentioned about, only 10 million people are direct to consumer shoppers, right? Direct to consumer on brand website, only 10 million people out of that entire lot uh, shops direct to consumer. And out of that 10 million, only 3 million consumers are actually beauty shoppers, beauty category, right? And out of that 3 million consumers that shop beauty, most of them are also price sensitive in that sense, right? So your essential niche becomes smaller and smaller and smaller as you go on the top of the pyramid. Uh,
True.
Having said that, price was something that we always had at the back of our mind when we were actually formulating this products right from scratch. And if you see over the years, we've actually democratized organic and natural in its true sense to as many people as possible, because we truly believe that it should going chemical free or going synthetic free is the right terminology, should not be a matter of choice. It should be a way of life.
Mm.
For us, with that motto, we wanted to democratize as much as possible to make sure that we don't price our products uber luxury. We
Wow.
are in the affordable premium category, where we want to make sure that the consumer doesn't look at the price but looks at the value that we bring to the table, right? So we are catering to the consumer, where we saying we are breaking this down very, very clearly for the consumer, right? You land up paying 200 rupees more today. The value that's going to give you back is going to be in excess of 2,500 or 3,000 in the very near future.
Mm.
So that was our proposition when we were talking to our consumers, because we knew that we were slightly priced dearly as compared to some of the peers in the market. But the product to product comparison was obviously not there, right? It was not apples to apples comparison, not oranges to oranges comparison. So we were very clear that what we are doing is very niche. It requires a lot of translation in knowledge to the consumer, because we can talk about this on a podcast, but I can't put so much of information either on my website, on my product. The consumer is just not going to give me enough time to actually explain my standpoint as to why your soap is priced at 400 rupees a bar, uh, compared to what I'm able to get at about 40, 50, 80 rupees in the commercial. So I think education about the product and standing your own in terms of giving the quality and the kind of um, value that you bring to the consumers was very important for us to communicate to them. If they
Mm.
do see value in my product, they'll not pay the price. So for
Mm.
us, focused on value creation rather than pushing price. And
Mm.
therefore, whilst we will have some sort of discounts and offers for the consumers to get into, because consumers today have a lot more options available today than they had a couple of years ago. The stickiness of the consumer or the loyalty of the consumer is also quickly changing. While they'll come back because tried it and they didn't like it because your product was better, they'll always come back. And that's why we don't compromise with product, because we know when the consumer is jumpy, the only thing that's going to bring them back is product, right? And
Yeah.
the quality of what we are bringing to the table. So I think, having understood the price sensitivity of India as a market, we were not very uber luxury in our pricing. We were affordable, luxury, and focused more on value versus the cost of the.
Mm.
I think that somewhere really helped us to build that trust also amongst the consumer, saying that अरे यार नहीं, ये charge थोड़ा ज़्यादा करते हैं, पर उनका product quality, backs the price points that they are actually charging from us.
Correct.
That really worked in our favor.
Wonderful, wonderful. And it's so interesting to see that, customer retention rate is so high, loyalty is so great. That truly says that your product is wonderful. So once somebody, so while, पहला जो decision होगा purchase का, that might become a little difficult कि चलो ठीक है यार, थोड़ा सा मैं क्यों extra पैसा दूँ. But बाद में, once the person has made that, so just cracking that code, right, where the discovery and the attention and the first purchase is very important, and after that the customer is yours. 65% of them are with you continuously, which is
And
great.
on our marketplaces, Vijita, so we obviously can't take some of the marketplaces because we don't get the information from marketplaces, so we tend to negate that. But just on our brand side, 65% is something that we are continuously working to up as much as possible. But like you rightly said, the consumer sees value. Once they see value, they will definitely come back. But yes, for the last few years, the customer acquisition itself is a very big challenging segment that we still to crack. And I think all of us in the D2C communities are constantly looking to sort of work towards optimizing. I guess this topic is always touching open nerves for especially the founders, because that's one area where we'll end up spending quite a bit of our resources to ensure that the consumer is discovering us, understanding the story that we want to tell them, engaging with us, asking us the right questions, and moving down the funnel into consideration and then conversion.
Beautiful, beautiful. And your story is so amazing, Pritesh. Learning from you and your entire journey and what your product is, how you are expanding and how you're using technology was awesome. And I'm so thankful that you made time today to speak about yourself and your journey and juicy chemistry with us. And I love this discussion. Thank you so much, Pritesh.
Vijita, it was an absolute pleasure to relive some of those, early days of Juicy Chemistry with you. It's always a pleasant flashback, and also tells you, takes a moment back in time to how it all started, and to sort of look back and reflect on how far we as individuals and founders and as a company we've come. So thank you for that wonderful time this evening today.
Thank you so much, Pritesh.
Wow, what an episode it was. Such an amazing, insightful discussion with Pritesh Asher. I loved every bit of it. If you want to see many more entrepreneurs like him and learn about their stories, how they started their journey, and you want to hear from the horse's mouth himself, please keep subscribing to this channel. Keep talking to us, sending us comments. We will be very happy to bring amazing entrepreneurs to you, to speak to you about their stories, their brand, and their success. So with me and my entire team, thank you so much for watching us. Looking forward to meeting with you in our next episode.